Hello everybody, welcome back. So boring around here. I mean, I wish I could make one of those videos like everybody else does, which is they look at a chart like this and go, "This changes everything. Oh my god, I can't believe what I'm just seeing." But I can't. I look at this chart and I'm like, oh, it's so boring. This is a daily chart. Look at this. You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of when I'm putting the kids to bed and I say, "Right, do you want to go and pick a story?" And they go, "Yeah, let's read Peppa Pig Goes on Holiday." And I'm like, "What, again? We have that every night. We've had that every night for 17 weeks. Can we not just mix it up a bit?" No, we want to do that. Every time I look at this Bitcoin, this Bitcoin chart, I'm like, oh god, it's still. In fact, if anything, it's just getting more and more boring as the days go on. So the same analysis still applies, believe it or not, which is that we have got the short signal on the Itchy Cloud, which would normally take about 2 weeks to play out. So we measure this from the last component that was formed, which was this red portion of the cloud, is 10 days ago. 10 days ago. So normally I'd give it a 2 week period for that for this sort of thing to play out. And again, just like I've been saying this whole time, because obviously nothing has changed because the chart has basically been frozen in time. 2 weeks for it to play out, generally speaking, give or take. It doesn't have to play out on the day of the 2 weeks. Just because it's a daily, you've got to allow for that sort of daily term time frame to mature a bit. So I'd give it around about a 2 week period. It might be 2 weeks and 1 day, 2 weeks and half an hour, maybe, I don't know, or maybe it's even 3 weeks, but roughly, give or take, 2 weeks. We are trending below all major moving averages as well, so that dominates the trend as well. Still down. Again, we're just looking at this on a daily. So effectively, what I'm saying is that it's same as everything I've been saying before. The move down is more likely than move up. Well, it's not guaranteed. Obviously, I would give these signals roughly about 70% chance of success, which is just that means the odds are in your favour of it if you're backing the further downside, and you'd be looking for this to move down to a more to I suppose a support. So because it's held up in this range for 10 days now, you could make the case that the next support is not going to be a new low, or at least not initially, and it could be just a flat range, So if we just move it down to a 4 hourly, so we can see a little bit more of this previous price action, and we can sort of see if we can navigate our way around some kind of area. So you could make the case that we could probably hang around. We could probably even dunk down to the mid 18,000s to maybe 18,000 flat, and not form a new low. And I suppose this is something I was saying, I think yesterday, or one of these videos I was making the day before, is that we could form a double bottom in this market. It could be true, it could happen, but I still think that the downside is more likely, given the fact that we've got short signals, we're trending below all major moving averages, and we're at the mercy of all the other markets, which are still reshuffling at the moment. They're not really being very convincing as to which way that they want to go. Like oil, I'm waiting for this move on oil, although it's looking less and less likely as time moves on, as we are now incurring a death cross. We've already got a death cross on this simple moving averages. Might be getting a death cross, well, it looks inescapable, to be honest with you, on the exponentials. And my general theory is that moves from energy into equity and from equity back to energy, that seems to be the game at the moment that's being played. Where is your money? If you're going to make some money, in traditional markets, where are you going to go? Are you going to go to energy, or are you going to go to stocks? Are you going to go for stocks? Are you going to go, where are you going to go? Or are you going to sit safely in banking stocks, I suppose, which are generally seen as opposed to I suppose make some money out of the raising of rates and things like that. They should benefit. So, but again, they'll be slow and boring, and they're not particularly doing that well at the moment either. So they're trying to reshuffle, but it's not being very convincing. Gold, we looked at this yesterday a little bit. Gold looks like it could be forming an opportunity to go long on this as well. This could be the bounce, or we could be coming down to retest this again to move up. And again, gold and Bitcoin might have some kind of correlation in this world that we live in. We think about Bitcoin as a store of value or a hedge against inflation. So far, that it doesn't look to be the case. It depends on when you bought it, obviously. And then we've got to think about the 4-year cycle as well, which is due to come to an end anywhere from this month to maybe as late as December. So we are thinking about, all right, if we haven't already met the low, then the next big low or the next lows that come in could just be the low, right? That could be it. So again, this is all 4-year cycle based. You know, I've made that other video when I talk about, you know, the euro looking like it's going to go down to what, 50 cents on the dollar, pound as well. So the strength of the Dixie plus the bearish divergence on Bitcoin's monthly as well. So there's all these other components that you have to factor into this. But if we're just thinking about the short-term time frames and maybe a 4-year cycle bottom being printed, there is a small chance. Maybe not that small, but it's still small. That we might be looking to form potentially a double bottom, or at least a double bottom in the short term before we have another rally up. Probably just hunting out some of those bears, because if you really think about this, and you know, let's just have a little think about what we're looking at here on a weekly. Okay, so let's have a think about this on realistically. We will invert the scale here, and we'll have a look at what this looks like. So this is a pretty savage move up, right? If you were to think about this in a bullish context, you know, in all fairness, like if you're thinking about it on its moving averages basis, it's going from strength to strength. We've got the 10 exponential on the weekly now crossing above the 200, and so on and so on. So it's actually, you know, in that sense, looks quite good. But if we were to, that's a shame, these haven't inverted either. We'd really need to invert these, really. It's kind of pointless even showing this. But the point I'm trying to make here is that if we were to think about the money flow index being overextended at all, this is like a bubble pop kind of zone here. You know, if this was the equivalent of these reads over here, which again, you know, bubble pop kind of zone, you know. So yeah, it can obviously go down lower than this, but I think if you are a bear, you're a very greedy bear, and you're pushing your luck the lower you go, trying to short this at this point. Now again, you know, being down below these major moving averages is one thing to, you know, which would suggest, yeah, you might be right in expecting further downside, like I am, but shorting these particular areas is probably not the greatest idea. And I'll show you something as well, which is how I'll leave this for you now. But no, it's the total market cap, including everything, Bitcoin, the lot. So just move this to a weekly. This is kind of more like what we should have come to expect, or generally expect from Bitcoin on its chart. See how so far we've held support on this 200 simple moving average, which is what we would normally do in a bear market. So we came up here, big parabolic run, come down here to accumulate on the 200 simple moving average. Also came down to test it here, a little bit of a wick down below it, but generally it's always held. So it makes more sense to look at it in this sense. And if you're going to get super scared about, you know, crypto or Bitcoin or anything like that, it would be when the total market cap starts to dip down, because this is more relevant now, I think, in a form of you know, trying to find navigate a bottom in the overall market, whether it's for Bitcoin or just crypto in general. Now, obviously, these little moves on here aren't particularly little. I mean, if you're in the wrong altcoin at the wrong time, we're still shaving off 10%, which is well, $100 billion, you know, off the market cap there, just from here to back down to what could be considered an accumulation level. But yeah, I mean, if we just focused on the Bitcoin chart, you'd be like, oh shit, it doesn't look particularly good, which it doesn't. I have to say, it doesn't. But it could go to the point where you could argue that this is already oversold. And if we're looking at moving averages, then you would say, yeah, this is further downside. But if you're thinking about momentum, so far momentum does look like it wants to shift. MACD crossing up, histograms going green. The RSI sort of making higher highs, higher lows. And this could be even more interesting if we do go on to make a new low for price action and maintain a higher low on this RSI and the money flow index. That's something that we've highlighted on these last two significant lows. So a bottom here and a higher low here, forming the absolute low at the end of the last bear market. Same thing over here, massive consolidation to a low, and then a big capitulation dump, higher low, absolute low there to be bought up. So we'll be looking to see something like that form on the weekly money flow index as and when we do print another low. And what I would do is I would look at this, I would look at this, I would look at this. Do we have divergence? Maybe we do. And if we do, I'd quickly have a quick look at this. Have we come back down to this 200 simple moving average? And if we have, then it might be worthy of trying to buy that dip. Maybe again, it's guessing. It's knife catching, but based upon cycle history, time-wise at least, and what I would consider to be an oversold zone, generally speaking. But it would be a knife catch. There wouldn't be any signs of a bull market. What you are trying to do there is to absolutely catch the absolute lows, really, on whether it's Bitcoin or whatever altcoin that is that you feel is going to work out for you over a long period of time. Outside of that, though, we can't deny that it's absolutely boring AF. Like I say, we're reading Peppa Pig goes on holiday for the 17th time, or should we just say for the 10th time, 10th day in a row. Peppa Pig goes on holiday. Are you sure? Are you sure that's what you want, girls? Yeah. Okay, here we go. And Peppa Pig went on holiday, packed their case. Anyway, I'll leave it with you there. There's nothing really great deal to say, but we are doing the Patreon live stream tonight, so I have noticed that there are quite a lot of altcoins with decent setups on their itchy clouds. So if Bitcoin can, for whatever reason, hold up above 18,000, most of those would probably still be intact, with a lot of those altcoins having their signals generated on a Bitcoin pair. So there are some, it would appear to be, some altcoins out there, quite a few of them as well, to be honest with you, that have promising setups of, I'd say, between 10, 20 to 50% maybe. Alright, that'll do for now. Have a nice day. Enjoy Peppa Pig. Take it easy.